Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market as we start off our new week. Prices remained pretty stable throughout the weekend. We saw prices kind of continue up a little bit into early Saturday morning, then a pullback, and then now we're back to kind of where we were when we started the weekend out. XRP, of course, had a killer week last week. Now it's back into the retracement levels of 2021 through 2024. So we'll touch on that briefly, but that'll be more of kind of like a dedicated video later. But what I wanted to do in this video is just kind of take a broader look throughout the market on how we're kicking off this new week and things that we were talking about at the end of last week and really for the last 2 weeks when it comes to things like gold and how we were expecting gold to get back up into a retracement, which it did all the way to the end of the week and then closed right there at the 702 retracement. We're looking for us to reject off of that level. So far as we kick off Monday, that has been the case. This has been the discussion for 2 weeks. And of course, looking for the Russel 2000 to turn around after back testing from the breakout after the election. Sure enough, as we're kicking off the new week, we can see it has gapped up a little bit. Markets still haven't opened as I'm recording right now, but so far so good to kick off the week. So these were kind of two macro elements that we were looking for. We were looking for the Russell to be able to continue back up and looking for gold to U-turn after getting back to the retracements. So far, so good. But we're in an interesting level here for the altcoin market. This is others, which is the altcoin market excluding the top 10. So everything in the crypto market excluding the top 10 by market cap. Everything else. This has been a chart that a lot of the discussion has been on for the last several months on the accumulation schematic down there at the low. We did end up seeing an ABC correction down in here, then shifting back up to the retraces, and now we've gotten through all of them. And the question is, can we get the momentum to actually get the breakout to go here? Total 2, the altcoin market that includes everything except for Bitcoin, was able to get through the 702 retracement last week and then able to just by a hair close the weekly candle above it. And this is not just based on the March through November range. This is based on all of 2021 through 2024 that we got the close above the 702 last night. Total 3, the same story, able to get through the 702 last week, close the candle through it, now sitting below the last retracement level. And now we sit back watching to see if we're going to get into full-blown expansion and markup. When it comes to the smaller range over here on others, structurally, we've been doing a lot of positive things. You can see that the retracement levels have really been where the candle closes have happened over here. Then getting to the 702, candle closes happening within there, and then boom, finally getting through the last one. Still, this is a smaller range, right? This is actually just March through November of the 2021 through 2024 range. That level right there is the 702 Fibonacci retracement level. So we're still trying to get out right through there. We're still sitting under here. And that seems to be kind of the recurring theme that we're seeing over here when we're looking at total 3, total 2, and others. Is that based on the 2021 range, they're all kind of in these areas right in here, still trying to get completely out of them, like here on total 2 and on total 3. My thoughts are that we will get out of them, but it's just whether or not there's any type of whipsawing to still happen up in here at this point. If others does come back to hit this 702 retracement and backtest this broken resistance level right over here, probably a blessing in disguise for the latecomers who are entering into this market. We also haven't really seen any type of big whipsaws happen up in here just yet, but we have climbed out very structurally. That also leaves me a little nervous as well that a lot of the new people who have entered into this market in the last 20 days haven't seen any real corrections yet, even if it be just for like a week. They haven't seen one, but I just wouldn't be surprised if there has to be one kind of like that at some point. Again, big picture, I think we're going to escape. I think we're going to go big, but these things that happen in here, they scare the crud out of new people, and not even just new people, people who have been around. Well, your bags are probably up so much right now. Any type of move like that of 20 or 30% that whipsaws around, you're going to feel it way more than you did a month ago, where this move right here is 25%. Well, if your bag's up 1 to 2x right here, you feel that a whole lot more. You know what I mean? Either way, kind of one of those examples of how markets can turn up and go wild, and that they're still accompanied by those types of moves. Is we've compared Sia Coin and Solana to things like SWI, or we've used it on things like TIA. Like if we just pretended TIA is going to do a move like this, well, where would you currently be right now for TIA? at this location right here, you're essentially like being right there, right? Something like that or that. You've taken out this whole range down here with that move that's happened in there. But you could see like even marching along here where this thing goes a full 4.236 extension, what happens along the way? Well, right here, this move is negative 28%. What would negative 28% look like on here? Something like that. What's this move right here? This one, negative 40%. So like getting here and then going negative 40. This one right here, this is negative 51. You got up here and then you went negative 51, a little bit more. There you go, negative 51, right? Just that we've seen a lot of green. And just to kind of remember, even in these March ups, we're likely going to see a lot of that stuff happen along the way up. And so it's just kind of a reminder, and especially for the people who are entering into this market and buying big green candles thinking, I'm going to get left behind if I don't do anything. The thing that always happens to people who rush into a market is they buy the peak of a green candle and then they sell the bottom of a red candle and then they chase the next green candle. So whether we get that to happen here right now or it happens later, just kind of remember those things will be a normal part of the process, so long as we continue moving up. Now, things that make me optimistic about just the structure that we have happening in here is that this is very similar to like what it was like when we were marching out of here and how this looked as we were trying to get into the actual expansion, which of course is what we're trying to do right here, right? We're trying to get into actual expansion and a big move happening in the market. But like zooming in and looking at how that structure looks in there, right? You can see it gets a little parabolic, ranges, tries to get out, kind of back tests, and then pushes out, right? That's really what we did as we were going into expansion back in 2021, right? It's parabolic, back test, pushes out, one back test, boom. That's really what this looks like, right? Boom. Just the unanswered question is that boom from right there, right? Big picture wise, that's what I see going on in here. It seems like we're going into expansion. We haven't quite gotten there yet when it comes to these market caps. However, at least last week, we were able to get through the 702, a big one. And this chart is very ugly. It's got a lot of wicks all over the place in here. This is CoinTrader Pro. And so what this is doing is this is pulling the market cap of the altcoin market from CoinMarketCap. So it's using kind of a plugin or an API to be able to pull that rather than TradingView, which is calculating it based on its own data. It's including some coins, it's not including some coins. This one is pulling it straight from here, from CoinMarketCap. So occasionally you get these wonky wicks that show up in here, but they don't mean anything. The thing to kind of take notice here, though, is at least based on what CoinMarketCap is reporting right now, we can see that we're bucking right up against that last retracement level as we get ready to kick off here on Monday morning. And so while we sit here at these retracement levels, whether it's looking at CoinTrader Pro, or we're looking at Total 2 over there on TradingView, or we're looking at Total 3 over here on TradingView, we know we're kind of at that last point before we could see if we can get into expansion. Well, we do know the total market cap of crypto broke into a new all-time high and closed there last week. I am optimistic that we're working on an expansion coming in here. And this is like what we talked about last week when it came to Bitcoin, the total market cap, and then the altcoin market, is that you could see the order of operations that took place there back in 2021. It was Bitcoin, then it was the total market cap, and then this structure showed up in here, right? Then came the altcoin market cap to do the expansion. So we're definitely acting like that's like the next thing that shows up in here. And there's a reason we look to macro at the same time. It's because we want to see that confluence happening there between things like gold and the Russell 2000 at the same time. So these things are looking good. I do just want to remind this is a lot of times what it looks like when we go to them. And that when assets do things like this for 3 weeks in a row, it becomes the accustomed norm of like, that's just what's going to happen every week, or that's just what's going to happen every week. And I kind of know that because I posted something on Twitter this weekend where I was just posting about the safety trade dominance and being like, hey, okay, sweet. We've finally seen some movement. It's definitely moved these past 2 weeks. Last time it paused for like 50 or 60 days. Then it resumed for the big event. That was one of my least engaged posts that I put out there on Twitter. The idea of it like pausing for 50 to 60 days and just kind of hanging out right here. Like it just would be completely normal for it to just kind of chill there for 50 or 60 days before the big event came. But it was not really well received. And, you know, I'm just curious if that becomes those expectations of big 100% green lines happening every week. I think we even saw Kusama go up 100% in a day on Saturday. And so those over here for the get rich quick in 3 days and no volatility, just prepare. It's very likely there will be. but the bigger picture looks good. Another thing about the big picture is that I actually want to talk about Bitcoin. I want to talk about on-chain because we talked about this last week, and there's been more on-chain data coming out as well, and how these are typical moments that are much more optimistic for the altcoin market to be able to do those types of expansions, because the things we're seeing on chain are very similar to what happens when Bitcoin's starting to run out of juice. And it's typically when Bitcoin's running out of juice that money starts flooding throughout the rest of the market. Something I showed last week was those wallets with greater than 10 Bitcoin. They were a really big signal back in 2021 that profit taking was happening by the larger entities throughout the market. Now, this thing hasn't reached a level that's historically been like super big danger, but it's definitely giving the sign of those guys are taking profit. Those guys are selling. And so you can kind of see where this thing really kind of bottomed out at here. So the black is going to be the price of Bitcoin, and the wallets holding greater than 10 Bitcoin, the total number of wallets is here in the orange. And you can see that as the price broke out into the all-time high over here back in 2020, they really started distributing down in here, and you can see where they peak out at. Here's where price peaks back in April. You can see they're right around here, right? Well, what's interesting about that is you can see that's where the wallets started really accumulating the market in here. They start taking off here at the bottom of 2018 when Bitcoin gets down to about $3,000. They grab all of that, right? You can see where it peaks out at up here. And then as we get into the new all-time high, they distribute. And then as we get to the peak of the market, look at that. It actually gets right back to where it was right there. I don't know if that's going to be true moving forward, but I'll show you something kind of interesting is that then you can see they never really reclaimed into major accumulation again until after Luna collapsed right in here. Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, they all collapse, and you get down here. Look where this is. Look where these wallets are. They're right back here where this level is. They're right back here where the peak was. And then boom, after Celsius collapse, man, they go into accumulation. And then FTX collapse happens right here. And boom, they go into accumulation even more. Then what do you know? It peaks out over here right at the same spot. Boom, Bitcoin breaks out. They're distributing into that. And then now in here, they're just selling like crazy into this one. Now it hasn't reached back down to these levels once again, right? It's gotten back to about where the FTX levels were, but not down in here where a lot of these guys were accumulating at down in here. But it's definitely in free fall, so it's something to pay attention to. Also, there was something posted by Checkmate over there on Twitter. He's showing that too, that profit taking by long-term holders is happening, saying that Bitcoin long-term holders have distributed $60 billion worth of supply in the last 30 days. Out of all the long-term holder supply moves since the FTX bottom, 21% of it has happened in November. This is the heaviest profit taking we have seen so far this cycle. Taking a look here at long-term holder distribution. And again, they're selling even heavier than they were back over here in March and April. So I come with that, and I know that Bitcoiners are going to be like, blah, 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 blah. But these are those things that were also happening back in 2021 when the market really rotated itself over there into the altcoin market. It just became apparent there wasn't a whole lot left in Bitcoin. The only people who thought that was retail. Remember laser eyes, diamond hands, but everything was flashing. It was really kind of the end of Bitcoin. Even here on the YouTube channel, we're saying this is probably the end of Bitcoin. And it really rotated over there into the altcoin market. So we have that condition. And so I know that looks bearish for Bitcoin to say something like that, but that's the condition that you get when things rotate themselves around and shoot themselves on over into the altcoin market. So we also have that condition happening over there in Bitcoin at the same time, right? So we have the fundamental behavior happening on Bitcoin where long-term holders are taking a lot of profit. Bigger entities are taking a lot of profit. There's less juice to squeeze out of it. And then we see the total market cap get into the new all-time high. And then we're seeing the altcoin market get through the 702 retracement. So far, we're kind of lining ourselves up for a positive setup in here. And I know everybody wants to know time. There's going to be a lot of grifting out there and people telling you, they can tell you exactly when things are going to happen on the date, the predicting, the time. I'll be straightforward with you. I'll get time wrong. It's very difficult to figure out time. Things we can use are like models based on the past and say, hey, when you get into these types of things, how much time do you typically have? Well, you typically have anywhere between 30 and 120 days. That's how long these things tend to last. I showed what happens in rotational markets back in like 1999 to 2000 when the dot-com bubble was happening. That as well got you out there to about February to March for an equivalent move, something like that happening here in the Russell. If you did do something like this and it kind of moved at the same kind of ratios of how long this all took to play out and then how much time there is left in here for a move like that, if they moved at the same rate, right? This one took a little bit longer. Still lands you there like in February, March. If you looked at the safety trade dominance and you kind of said, hey, we're going to move at kind of a similar velocity as that. We just had that big move pull down in here. Now maybe it's going to pause out in regards to big outperformance. Maybe everything just kind of moves at the same speed now when we don't see anything crazy happen. Still, that gets you like February, March. And if Bitcoin's kind of nearing a top and it's got to build some kind of top in here, it just kind of takes some time. It just wouldn't be unreasonable to think, a couple of months, a few months. And another thing to keep in mind, like just to remind everybody, like if these things get moving, like remember, like this right here, this is January, right? The altcoin market topped in May, 4 months later. The whole market essentially topped 4 months later after that point, right? When you get Bitcoin already out here, you get the total market cap of crypto out of here. This is all January, right? We know that the market essentially topped when Elon Musk went on to Saturday Night Live on May 8th. That's not historically inaccurate for how long it is for things when they get moving in a big way, that like even the big parabolic blow off that happened here in the market. I mean, Bitcoin goes from, $4,000 to $20,000 in 77 days. The altcoin market does its entire run that really just kind of starts right here, right? That's in 63 days. So it seems like we're getting really close to that type of moment being able to happen in here. We're just waiting to see that an actual expansion can take place. And if it does, just kind of keeping it in mind, are we seeing the signs that are being like, yep, this is late stage stuff. This is parabolic stuff. There's a profit taking happening by big entities. Definitely, right? Just big picture, right? And while we haven't gotten these market caps to escape these retraces, like on Total 2, Total 3, or on others, we look to these things to say, well, are the conditions very similar to what happened when we did escape? Are these conditions similar? Are these conditions similar? Is gold behaving? Yep, exactly like we talked about all last week. Is the Russel behaving? Yep, so far so good. But we are still just waiting for that to end up happening in here. And while we still wait, we haven't had it happen. I'm trying to show you all those things of being like, well, look, these were the things that were happening. These are the positive things that do happen to see those things go. Will be a bumpy ride. I kind of keep reiterating that. It will be a bumpy ride. Newcomers to this space are definitely not accustomed to that. They come from a market where 1, 2, 3, 4% moves in a day are scary. We're in a place where 20 or 30% in either direction are normal. But we got exactly what we were looking for over there in gold so far, with it getting slammed by the 702. And we may see a new all-time high on the Russell any moment. I think we're all just kind of waiting for that last little flick to go. But I'd say the most optimistic thing that says it's likely coming is we officially got the close into the new all-time high for total. Now everything is battling in the altcoin market for expansion. Structurally, these are what breakouts start to look like. There can be a little more back testing in here, but enjoy your sleep. That's the way I'm treating it. I'm still sleeping fine. I'm not up staring at charts late into the night like when it's really crazy. I just don't think we're there yet, because eventually we do get to no sleep season. And I think, one of the things I'm just trying to kind of continuously reiterate there is that this is all late cycle stuff, right? You probably wouldn't think of it of being like, hey, this is late cycle. But from a time perspective, being right there, right, 158 weeks, and then the peak, 16 weeks, it is late cycle, right? And so the lens that it's all being looked from right now is that lens of what is it like when we're here at this end? We're just starting to get through these retracements of a multi-year range. So long as we're able to break through those things, then we start looking for this type of stuff up in here and saying, okay, well, what can these endings start to look like? What are the things that we are looking for? So our current phase right now is obviously, it's all this right here. It's getting that actual break to happen in late stage cycle and then looking for peaks. So it's very exciting. We're just trying to get through that moment right now. And well, the stock market just opened. The Russell 2000 has now set another new high over here. Next step is to try to take out that all-time high. Gold is getting obliterated from the 702 retracement. That's what we wanted. Things are looking good. Now we're all just sitting back waiting for that moment where those breakouts of those retracements happen. But all right, that's how we start our week. Again, this will be a short week due to the Thanksgiving holiday. I do always take the Thanksgiving break off. I also take Christmas break off. So it will be a very short week for us together this week. Otherwise, I'll check in with you guys again later. If you're looking for something to do, of course, you could check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Most recent one is talking about whether or not this breakout in the market has legs to it by looking at macro and at crypto, where the strong performance has been at in regards to sectors and coins. Which coins have good data such as development activity, total value locked, what things have changed since the last time we've looked at that. And then, of course, looking ahead, how does this market historically play from here? These do include audio voiceovers that I personally record in here after I write them. You also get access to all the past ones that have been written here in the Substack, like when I bought 20 coins back in September, looking at all that development activity and total value locked, and all those past newsletters where we went through all the data and the performance of those with higher development activity, whether or not their percentage drawdown mattered. Does the inflation matter? And the user activity levels. And well, even in this most recent newsletter, I made it easy for you to find them as I linked to all of them right here within this newsletter because they seem to be so important. So you can check that out at blockchainbacker.substack.com. You can check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. A lot of additional stuff in here, like with Elliott wave theory, the historical behavior of the market, and other secret sauce that I've learned from just being here for so long. It also includes a downloadable PDF, so a lot of printable supplemental content to go along with it. There are links down here in the description of this video to bcbacker.com and to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Otherwise, that's it for this one, and I'll catch you soon. But all right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.